talk a little bit about our case study too. So.
Okay.
So maybe let's start with that real quick, the case study, knock that out, and then we'll talk about the project and see where to go from there. That case study, Groupon, I actually thought it was neat because I've been half and half. I've liked Groupon, but then I also haven't because I feel that they mark the prices up so high that they're just getting people to come, right? But then I realized that the companies actually make that difference with Groupon, and I was like, shoot, some companies actually lose a lot of money. I didn't know that.
Yeah, what was it? I think there was a toy company that lost a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 8,000.
And then there was it a restaurant? I printed it off.
Yeah.
I'm kind of
there was like
stuff.
There's like the negative reaction. It's like there were people who were like tipping 0 and like tipping 10% on 0 is $0. So they were like, our waitresses aren't even making money.
Well, I kind of look at it like this. I mean, they should have known, I guess, or had an idea of what the outcome could possibly be. So, I mean, I don't blame it totally on Groupon. They're basically saying, hey, look, this is what we're going to do for you. And if you sign it, then you're kind of on your own.
Yeah, something I found interesting about it was the value. It's asking us to think about a lot of the value, and the end users, I feel, get the best value for the most part sometimes, because then it really gives them the opportunity to see businesses that they didn't know existed. Like one that I saw was a rock climbing wall that looked cool. I've never even heard of the company. And then the second value I noticed was in the businesses, it brings in so many more customers. I think one of the examples was like it brought in like 500 more customers a month.
Yeah.
I was like, that's impressive.
One of the things I think of is like you have to know the demographic of where you're at. I mean, so I'm originally from Colorado and I used Groupon to get my concealed weapons permit. And that was super awesome. And there was like a ton of people getting their concealed weapons permits in Colorado. And this was like right before Trump was elected, but because there's a big debate of whether that was going to be the concealed weapons going to be taken away in Colorado. And so like since I was up, like everybody was just getting those Groupons and using that. And so, I mean, if you were to use a Groupon in California, let's say, that has like strict gun laws, like I doubt it would work that well. But somewhere in Colorado where like gun laws are really, really easy, it probably wouldn't be that bad.
That's a good point. I wonder if like in California where there's a lot of law and politics or something, if there'd be like Groupons for lawyers or something, you know, for traffic. And that's a funny view. Hey Jen, welcome to the discussion. We're actually talking about the case about Groupon real quick before we get into our focus business. So, any other values that you guys saw from Groupon, or values that didn't work out?
One of the things that like was kind of interesting to me is like when they did that Super Bowl commercial, and then like how hard the CEO tried to defend the ad on it. And it's like, you know, sometimes you just have to cut your losses, and which he eventually did. And I was like, you know, that's just something that's kind of amazing to me. It's like, even though you think it's funny and like not going to be very offensive, like people can get offended so many ways. And so you have to try to be as very PC as possible, which is unfortunate these days.
Yeah, everybody has to be politically correct nowadays, and it makes it extremely difficult to even share your thoughts anymore without being put down or whatever. I mean, it's the typical it's in the Super Bowl this year, right? Some veterans went in and put in an ad and it just says hashtag please stand, but yet they're like, no, you can't have that there. That's too political. So it's like they just said please stand. It wasn't anything, vulgar or really political in my mind, but
yeah, it's kind of like, hey, support your country that you live in.
Yeah.
Something else about that guy that was trying to win his losses. I think shortly after it talked about that, it discussed about Groupon 2.0. I thought that was a really good piece of value or innovation, because they're kind of changing their focuses. They're kind of making this Groupon more focused on, can't remember if it was like hotels and it was hotels and traveling.
Yeah.
And I thought that was neat, because there's another website called like Priceline and Hotel.com. They got a bunch of things, but Groupon, I'm sure, is going to go way far with this.
One of the things that I noticed in one of the questions that we had to go through, I think the last question talks about the characteristics of social influence. And one of the groups that I took was a subculture group, but I chose like the youth group, because I've noticed when you get on to Groupon, as you scroll through just basic products, there's a lot of times there's stuff in there that you really don't want to see. I don't know if you've gone on to Groupon and seen that, to where maybe that's something that Groupon could do, is create a safer environment for maybe the younger generation, the youth, to go in and see things that are deals, because they're an influencer, whether we think they are or not. They continue to ask. I know my kids do. When they continue to ask for things, eventually you either give in or you fight them the rest of the time. So they're definitely an influential group that can make a difference. And so maybe if Groupon tailored something a little more to that group, as opposed to what you see when you scroll through all the products. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting.
That's really cool. That's kind of like what Nate was saying earlier about like who you're seeking and factoring in on your market segments or your customer segments, who you're gearing towards. I'll talk about our Groupon case study real quick, and then I think we're going to transition into the focus business in a second. That way we get enough time before 7 o'clock before some have to take off. So I think if we can jump into the focus business real quick, talk about that project and make sure everyone's on the same page. I'm going to be pretty wise. So I'm opened up into the lesson 3 or week 3 consumer behavior instructions, and there's 6 different points. We talk about that. I can post this in the discussion board, and then we'll find out what we need to do for this project. So is everyone good with doing the Dave's Killer Bread for the focus business, or is there other ideas that we need to do or routes?
I'm good with Dave's Killer Bread.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with whatever.
Okay.
Yep, I'm good. I mean, they gave us something, and at least that's better. So I don't know. I'm good with it. Yeah.
Have you guys searched in?
Really cool story. So
I've done a little bit of research into it. I'm not exactly sure what we're supposed to be researching into it, but I have like figured out how they've come to be, kind of like their struggles and stuff like that. It's been pretty good.
Okay. That's kind of what I did too. I just went online and figured out about them. So just a gap for everyone. They began in like 2005 by a guy named Dave Gall or something like that, DAHL or something. And one of the big impacts, he used to do this as a family business a long time ago. His brother-in-law owned something like that for 15 years. He came in, he made it really, really good, marketed well, and began individuals that had a crime background to make a second chance. They, as of like 2012, they had like 290 employees, and I think they started around 30 employees. And the company was sold for like $275 million in 2015. What their product is of course bread, and they offer organic breads, like really healthy breads, all sorts of styles. Can't remember if there's 30 different styles or 21 styles, but there's a lot of them. And they also have different types of bread, such as like bagels, bread, thin bread, long crust bread, things like that. So if you get the chance this next week, look more into it, familiarize yourself with it if you can, and then we'll get into those parts that the professor emailed us about today in the announcements page. John and I were talking about that earlier. There's like 5 points that he present and an example of the project itself. And this is only for the first project. It's due week 5. So he wants us to go through and explain the consumer behavior, do a SWOT analysis, do competitive environment, segment the market, and then position the statement of the brand. So there's 5 of those, plus all of us have to do 5 interviews. So what we were thinking was is if we split up, each person took a section of the project, focused on Dave's killer bread, of course, and then all of us did our 5 interviews, combine it in a Google document, a Word document on Google Docs, and that's how we kind of work and bring it in together to finalize that project. What do you guys think?
I'm good with that.
That sounds good to me.
Then we just put it in a Google Doc, and then everybody just combines everything as we go through, so it's a working document. I think will be good.
Who are we supposed to, the 5 in-depth interviews, are we supposed to all be interviewing the same question, using the same questions? And do we have to make those up?
They don't have to be the same questions, but yes, we do make them up in the announcement. He gave the example project, and towards the bottom, I think it's like 17 pages of their project. Towards the bottom, the last 5 or 7 pages of interviews. That kind of gives an example of one way to do it. Another way to do it is you can summarize your interview and go through and say, hey, this is who I met with, this was my purpose, and this is the responses I got about my interview. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think the 5 interviews have to, each person that's doing it, if you're doing a section, like one of the points, then you would interview people according to that section.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So if you choose to do your, perform a SWOT analysis for the brand, I guess you would do interviews based off of that SWOT analysis, right? Or am I off?
Yes. No, yeah, you're right. So let's split it up between each of us, and let's say, like John was saying, for the SWOT analysis, if you're doing that section, just do 5 interviews on that certain section. SWOT analysis would make it easy.
That works for me. I'm good with it.
Yeah.
So do we want to just divvy it out, or just say, I'll take this?
Yeah, we can.
Well, whoever wants to volunteer, they can start first.
I'll do the SWOT analysis. That's like 4 big sections. I can take that.
I can do the segment, the market, and define the target market.
I don't mind doing
I
the
can review.
competitive.
But how would you interview somebody on your, is that, it says interview all segments you consider as potential targets. So you're like for good brand positioning statement, we're interviewing people about our brand's positioning statement.
Yeah, so an
Yeah.
example would be like an eight word mission statement. And let's say, hey, Dave's is the best bread ever. Let's say that's the mission statement, right? And if you're interviewing people about your brand statement, hey, how does this sound to you? Does this sound good? How would you change it? Does this bring attention to your desire of good bread? Like that. That might be an example or a way to do it.
I'll do the competitive market.
Well, we have more than 5 people in our group, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
somebody's gonna have to be like the editor and put it all together.
Yeah, that's a good
I
point.
think that's a fair way to do that.
Mhm. Or we could break up SWAT. Like someone could do the SW and someone can do the OT.
Yeah, we could do
Ooh, that's good because SW would be strengths and weaknesses, and someone could do the opportunity and threats.
Hi guys.
Hey, Victoria, how
Hi,
you doing?
Victoria.
So sorry, I was checking my Hotmail and I just realized that I sent my Gmail.
No worries. Hey, so we're divvying out the project right now, actually. So, Nate, are you still doing competitive market?
Yeah, I'm still gonna do that.
Okay. I can do the strength and weakness on the SWAT. Who wants to do the OT?
I can do that. This is Jen.
All right, Jen. Who wants to do the consumer behavior?
I can do
I can
that.
do the consumer behavior.
And we're gonna need at least a couple. I don't know. How many we got in our team? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 of them.
Yeah, so there's the 5 bullet points, and SWAT would take 2, and then there's an editor, so that's 7 total.
Okay.
I think there's 7 of us, you said. So,
Is anybody writing this down?
yeah, I am. And I
Okay.
can send it back to Mel right after, so everyone can see. So, Nate's got competitive market. I'll do the SW, then I'll do the OT on the SWOT analysis. We have the last options. There's consumer behavior, editing, competitive environment.
I'll do the competitive
Okay.
environment.
I thought Nate was doing that.
Oh,
Was he not?
sorry. Yeah, sorry, that was
Yeah,
Nate.
I
My
was
bad.
doing the competitive environment. Sorry.
My bad.
Oh.
I read it twice.
Where are you reading this? I'm trying to find.
This is on the announcement page of today from the
Is it the
professor.
project?
It's the first announcement. It says group project number 1, instruction, developing a target and branding positioning strategy research.
Okay.
Yep.
So I can do the, what is it? Brand positioning statement, or unless somebody else is.
Okay. All right, I wrote that one down. Consumer behavior, doing that one.
I'm kind of lost. Which one I'm doing? The consumer behavior? What was it?
Yeah, consumer behavior we'll have Victoria do. And that's the first bullet point on the announcement page. And I'll send this in an email and I'll write out his sentence that he's saying on each bullet point so you understand. What else do we have? We have
We just have editor.
the
Yeah.
target market and the editor.
I mean, I can do the editor, but how would I do 5 interviews on editing?
That's true. Maybe you could do an interview for each section instead.
Okay, I can do that.
That's Shelby.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I said I would do the target market.
And that's Katarina.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So let me send this out to you guys. Is everyone on the same page of what we're doing? I know Victoria, you just came on, so we're gonna do the Dave's Killer Bread for our business. Basically, just research it online, find out about their business, what it's all about, and then we're gonna create a Google document to where all of us can combine our work into one document and work on it over the next, I think, week and a half before it's due, 2 weeks.
Okay. If I'm on the right doc, I'm doing lesson 3, customer value and customer behavior.
Yep, you're gonna do the customer behavior. It says explain key consumer behavior insights gleaned from qualitative and exploratory research.
Do you mind sharing your screen just so I can see if I have this thing open it?
Yeah, I'll do it right now.
I think I have a different one.
Okay, can everyone see? So this part right here, Victoria, that's the one you're doing. And this is on this is on the announcement page.
Okay, got it. I'll do the first part. Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
I'll write these down and send them an email, but Dylan's going to do the SW. Jen's going to do the...
I thought you were doing, Dylan. Were you doing the SW?
Yeah, Dylan's doing the SW.
Okay.
Jen's doing the OT.
Okay.
Nate's doing the competitive environment, the third bullet point. Target market, Katarina. John is positioning marketing statement. And Shelby's doing the editing, and she'll do our interviews for 1 for each 5 or something.
I think the 5 interviews are based on segments. It says that you consider potential targets. So when you look at the example he gave, their segmenting is like, it's like, I don't know, values, demographic, behavioristic. And so they have different segments. So I think we need to decide what segments we would consider being able to have our potential customers be in, and that's what we interview.
Okay, so we all do the same type of interviews.
That's what, as I'm looking through the example, that's what it seems like it is, because they're saying, okay, on this example, it's why would you buy books from the particular bookstore?
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So maybe over the next day or 2, let's all think about like a customer segment, and we can put that in the text, and we'll finalize what our top 3 or top 2 or however many customer segments we want. That way we can focus on it. How's that sound? Or do you want to finalize the customer segments tonight?
No, I think we should. I think if we kind of looked over the sample interviews he did and he provided, and then we can kind of get a good idea, and then we can maybe each come up with like one segment.
Okay.
Yeah, I say we do it in a day or so after we get a chance to kind of research a little bit and then read up what we're going to focus on. I think that'll probably be
When do we have it done?
This is due in week 5, so it's about a week and a half.
Okay.
So what we can do is
We didn't find where to put the product name.
Sorry, what?
So we're doing the David Brad, something like that.
Dave's Killer Bread.
Okay. Okay.
If you type that in on the internet, it should pull up first thing. So in a couple of days, we'll just reach out together through group text, figure out the customer segments we want, and then we'll do all we can prepping up to next Wednesday. We'll meet together, kind of we don't have to have it done, but maybe ideas and starting to get the system going together. And we'll group together, make sure everyone's good to go. We'll keep going, and then we'll submit it the week after. Is that a good plan?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Awesome. You guys are
Yeah,
good
I think
too.
we should be mostly done probably by the end of next week at least, and then we can come and put it all together. Because
Oh, yeah.
it's not due till the end of lesson 5.
Yeah.
So I think as long as we pretty much have our parts done by the end of next week. I mean, even if we have to like finish up an interview or two, we should have most of our parts done.
Yeah, and then that gives Shelby enough time to be able to like edit whatever she needs to, or for us to add and take away things. That's a great idea. I like that.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I think we can rock it. I think we got a good group, so I'm not worried.
I agree.
One of my other
Cool.
classes, I'm a little worried, but not this one.
Hey, and if
I like
anyone
that we
has-
have a lot of group members who like share thoughts and split up the work, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. If anyone has any questions, like don't be afraid to ask. And if we need to set up another meeting time, we can meet for a little bit to combine our efforts if the tags are too hard or too long, maybe. But I think that's fine.
Perfect.
Yep. I'm good.
Sounds good.
Anything else?
No, that should be good.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you
Have a
guys.
good one.
Guys.
Talk to you
Yeah.
later.
I'll have this
All right.
posted tonight,
Yeah.
I think.
All right. Thanks, Dylan, man. You did a good job.